We have returned to public session, and we will start with the personnel agenda for Dr. Ross.
Thank you. The board received this evening second item that included appointments, leaves of absences, and some volunteer recommendations for the winter season. It also included, I'm sorry, the board received this evening walking items for personnel, and they included leaves of absence, appointment of staff, several volunteers for our winter sports season, and our hit report from last month, as well as administrative leave and a signed agreement for staff. That concludes the personnel report.
Thank you. Can I have a motion and a second to accept the personnel agenda?
All motion.
I'll second. Any questions? Okay, seeing none. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on matters of interest to the school community. Individuals wishing to speak must state their name and address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes duration. But an individual may speak a second time after all others who wish to speak on the topic have been heard. All statements should be directed to the board president, and no participant may address or question board members individually. All speakers are requested to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others whose legal rights may be affected. Please note, while it is not the board's intention to stifle comment on matters of legitimate concern, the public should be aware that if their comments violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, they may face personal liability to the injured party. If speakers are uncertain of the legal ramifications of their comments, the board urges them to seek guidance beforehand from their own legal advisor. Before we start public comment, Mr. Rubin, seeing as that this is over an hour later than we normally start the board, can we limit maybe like public comment to a certain time period? And do we need to say that ahead of time?
The board has the discretion to limit the duration of public session, and I suggest you do that before the public session gets started.
Okay, so I'm going to say we'll hear comments for about 45 minutes. Considering the amount of people here, hopefully we can answer everybody before that time, but we want to be cognizant of people who have to travel home and who've been here preparing since early this afternoon, so I'm going to say about 45 minutes at this time.
Brandon Bolger, 10 Washington Street, Padawan. I've been an educator for 17 years. I know some of the people who are here. I know a lot of people work in the district. I've worked in public schools for most of my career. I coached. I know a lot of the wonderful people who coach and teach here. I have a student here, 5th grade, a student at Ravine Drive, who struggled mightily. Another student who I don't know where he's going to be when it comes down to it. No decision in education has been ever worked well with haste and presented in the way that it's been presented. The redistricting issue is not small. I reviewed a lot of the data. I know better than a lot of the teachers in this district where this district is spending its money, what it's chosen to spend its money on. And I have to say, I am really, really upset with the way that the board has chosen to spend its money over the last few years. We've taken money repeatedly out of the classroom. We've put it into initiatives, we've put it into board level positions, and we've moved teachers from the classroom. Students who need additional supports. In every single school district, every building in the school, they're not able to get it. I have a student who I'm being told, if I want the services for my child, you know what they're asking me to do? They're telling me that I need to go contact a lawyer, and and I need to present you with a lawsuit in order to get what my child needs. I have to pay out of pocket to go to special testing, all that for a 6-year-old. And we're talking about moving kids around. We're being told about moving kids around. The meeting that I was not able to attend, I never received the online invitation. I haven't spoken with my wife who was present. But this is not how districts are supposed to be directed. This is a failure of the leadership. And we're paying the price for it. And our kids are paying the price for it. I don't doubt that anybody sitting on the dais in front of me has anything but the best intentions for the district. But I have to tell you, we're missing the mark in a lot of ways. And it's frustrating to watch. It's frustrating to hear from the teachers in the district who are not being heard, who are just being handed another new program. Let's change this one. Let's pay another $30,000 here. Let's get another board level higher.
Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, that's time.
Thank you.
Appreciate the comments. The only thing I noticed is that a reference to money at board level positions, none of us on the board get paid. Might have just been misspeaking.
It's a common term in
And
education.
Oh, okay. Well, I just, board level position, money towards board level positions, so I was just clearing that up that we don't get paid. I think probably it's a one-on-one conversation, perhaps, Ms. Flores. Anything else you want to address?
If you could email specifically in regards to your child, the supports and the admins that you've been provided, through leadership or through whoever the teacher is for your particular child, that if you could just email myself and Mr. Lehman in regards to that. In regards to the budget, we go through the process, the process starts now. The intention, as we went through the presentation this evening, the intention is to alleviate or avoid any challenges that we're seeing now in regards to whether it's transportation or underutilization of capacity. So I know you mentioned you weren't able to be here for the meeting, but the PowerPoint and all the information will be provided online tomorrow.
And we'll also have a recording available on YouTube.
Pascal 147 County Road, Clifton, New Jersey. I would like to address some stuff that I've seen on social media. I know you can't always believe everything you see on social media, but a lot of moms, with elementary school age, pre-K school age kids are very concerned about what apparently happens at the New Jersey Teachers Convention with the curriculum that our new governor is trying to push and the new mayor of Aberdeen. And like I said, I don't know details, I'm just talking about what I see on social media. Is this something that's going to be, instilled into the elementary schools, the middle schools, the high schools? Are you guys going to be following the whole parents don't have the choice to opt out of certain things that we don't want our children learning? Because to me, that's concerning as a parent. I feel like parents should have somewhat of a say in the curriculum, and we should, get full transparency about what our children are learning, especially at that young elementary school age. So just curious to see how, the board plans on going about addressing what our new governor is pushing that, some people don't agree with.
Thank you. I will say two things. One is that we can't really decide anything until it comes to us, so I don't want to get ahead of anything. We don't really know that inauguration is still happening, not even this year, so that's one thing. The second thing is, I know that this is my third year on the board. There's been many boards. They've, rotated out. They've always been very open to the concept of tailoring things for the community that they're in. That's something that our organization, the New Jersey School Boards Association, also promotes, which is called Home Rule. So it leaves a lot of flexibility, for basically framing policies that support the community that we're in. We're not, we live here, North Jersey's different, South Jersey's different, so just something to keep in mind there. I don't know if there's anything else, Mr. Lehman or Mr. President?
I think, obviously, we keep abreast of the mandates. I think a good example that Ms. Warnaby was referring to was with some of the mandates that have come forth a few years ago. One of them was the health and phys ed curriculum. And the approach that was taken at that time, we tailored it so that it was age appropriate. So while the statement may have been you have to include sex education and some particular vocabulary, and it was very explicit, the board and the administrative team did not take the approach and say, okay, we got it, we're revising curriculum, and we'll do it. We took some time to actually, we included community input where we said, okay, let's look at it from an age-appropriate perspective, so where parents feel comfortable, where staff feel comfortable with what they're teaching, and that worked well. We've seen success with that, so if any mandates, we would naturally take that approach. I would advise the rest of the team and the board to do so.
Well, I just hope there's like some sort of open door policy with parents and not this whole like secretive thing like out my 6-year-old daughter to tell the teacher something and she doesn't have to tell me. Like, I feel like things should be transparent, especially on that age level, and like you said, age appropriate is what these kids should be learning.
Thank you, sorry. We do have policies in place for,
Sorry.
I was just going to say, we do have specific policies in place for certain things, so if you want to reach out to Ms. Perez or Mr. Lehman to kind of maybe get specifics on what, you're looking for, they can, or maybe Dr. Wells actually for policy could direct you to what those policies are, so you can review them, see, we really did try to tailor things to the community and with parental notification and things like that, which was my first year on the board.
Dr. Ross, is it 5,700 from Mr. Lehman? I think that's your referring, that might help you.
There's a few, I think that's the one that you're referring to, the policy.
Yeah.
57.
Yeah.
That's, as Mrs. Murphy has explained, Mrs. Perez has explained, there is a process for policy. They're not just blanketed to this is what we're doing. We do have a policy committee, the board meets to discuss policy. There's also reads that go out, so there'll be a first read, a second read that will go out to the public. So you'll have an opportunity to go onto the website and read the policy. Any type of revision or so forth that we make to the policy. And you also have a chance to do what you're doing right now. Every board meeting, pretty much we have policy in order. Tonight, we do have policy.
Of course, and it's no disrespect to anyone, like I don't want to go against anyone. I'm just trying to protect my daughter's innocence. I went to school in the 90s. I feel like let's bring that school vibe back, and not how everything is now. But thank you guys.
May I just make one comment on that? I was in your shoes maybe 4 or 5 years ago when the state was mandating the sex ed curriculum and the standards that the districts had to teach and implement into their curriculum. And I stood up there and I said the same thing. So I can speak for myself in saying that I agree, and I'm proud to sit on this board where we take those state standards and we look at them and we, as a Board of Education, will help with the administrators come up with the curriculum and what we think is best for our students and our district. We don't just take what the state says. We do have to follow some of the mandates, and we do that, but we try to I guess, tailor them to how we think it would best suit our district. So we don't just adopt everything that comes down the pipeline. And we look at those things very closely. So with the sex ed curriculum, or the standards, and also with the policy 5756. So those are some of the things specifically that, proud to say that we, the 9 of us with the administration, we work really hard on doing what we think is in the best interest of our students here in this district. And also protecting the students.
especially if we're talking about such large restructuring, such as moving teachers from their buildings, giving them adequate time to pack up their rooms, be ready for a new building, have the PD for their staff, transportation route changes, transition and orientation programs for our students. It just seems like that's a lot of things for a district to undertake. I'm an employee, school employee myself in a different district. We did restructuring a couple years ago. It wasn't massive undertaking, so I understand the school perspective of it and how much goes into it as well. So if we're in such an early phase, it just seems like this goal being ready for September seems like not enough time for you guys, not enough time for our students, with families. So I'm just wondering if with all of these considerations, all of these things that are being promised that are going to be taken into consideration, are we at all considering a change for this for the 27-28 school year, not for 26-27, just to make sure that enough time is being put into everybody, all of the stakeholders, so there's enough time for everyone to really get on board and have enough time to deal with all the changes.
Thank you. I think what I will say to that before I hand it over is that the feedback will include whether or not we think it's possible. I don't think that, I'll let them speak to it, but I don't think there will come a time where they'll just say, well, we have to get this done because we have. I mean, it'll be achievable, you know, in my estimation, whatever they decide, I think will have to be, right, achievable because we have staff, we have families, we have transportation, we have buildings, all the things that you mentioned. So it's not like we can't put a square peg in a hole just because we think we want to. So I'll let this person speak to that as well. We're not looking to rush anything. Our responsibility is to explore if we know there's a challenge that we already know, and then what came out of this study is really to explore those things and ensure that the problem isn't getting bigger. And so with that said, it could be, and I think we included on the side, that it could be a phase-in, and I don't know yet until the scenarios are created.
Just the timeline that was presented had that July to August implementation for September, so that just made it look like it was something that's being pushed for September. So just asking if that consideration or it should not be September.
So it could be, but it could be something that doesn't require
Such
the
massive
moving
changes.
and the moving of the teachers and PD and all those things. It could be something that's
Achievable.
inclusive of, something inclusive, say, a change in the transportation line.
Right.
Which may change a student's school.
Yeah.
However, but that's minor in comparison, obviously, to any grade level configurations. Thank you.
Probably speak for everybody up here. I think everybody is more than willing to be patient and wait because that's not what worked out. So I think all of our cabinet would be open to phasing it in, moving it along, whatever the case is, or it comes all back to us. But I know that I can trust that these guys would be okay with doing things a little at a time.
And we did include, and I don't think I spoke to it, but I did have it highlighted that, and at that timeline, Fred had it highlighted that the timeline could be and may be adjusted in accordance to what the scenarios are, or that we still don't know, right? So, and that all that information will be communicated.
Just a couple of clarifying questions, because the data showing a 4.2% growth by 2030, which is about 69 students over 5 years, based on the information we have. So what's that tipping point for, just some of the things like that? It was also quoted by Ms. Perez that all of them are currently operating capacity. So the 79 students estimated by the person who's here in the presentation tonight, what's the tipping point for the need to readjust the district, and why are we rushing the end of February, 96 days left?
Right.
For us, it is a long-term plan, but I would say that in terms of students' class sizes, it's the tipping point. So if you utilize, if I use that scenario that you referenced about the 79 kids, and opening up a new classroom, that for us is kind of a tipping point.
Students over 5 years.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said something.
From the
our tipping point is really monitoring that enrollment and how it's impacting class size and safety, right? So you mentioned also that with safety, with we don't want, like, we're watching traffic patterns, we're watching classrooms being utilized for other arts or something like that. So we are monitoring that. So that is the tipping point, because if we can correct it with some minor changes, like I mentioned just a minute ago, if it's something that could be corrected, we want to address it.
First of all, the 4.2% growth over 5 years is significantly less than what we saw in enrollment last year alone. So why are we rushing this when the data is not even marrying the actual growth that we just basically did? We have 96 days for you guys to make a decision on how we're doing the district based on a scenario that a single day came in, told us how to do it, only hired them, or told us the numbers. That same single bidder, same company came in and told us, or going to tell us the scenario that we have to do to optimize our district. And based on some feedback that I'll collect online, he promises he can move our dots quickly. It wasn't a warm and fuzzy feeling as a parent, frankly. Second of all, 96 days from today to the end of February. I think it was before that, actually, right? That's enough time to make a real educated decision based on the data that's already been proven wrong in a month's time. It feels very rushed.
I just want to clarify one thing. So you're quoting numbers from the report that say, you said 69 over 5, or between now and 20.
2% increase by 2030.
And what was the number of students, 69 or 96?
4.2 growth of the total population, about 69, I mean, 4.2%.
Okay, so I just want to, I don't want to put you on the spot, Ms. Perez, but how many new students, new enrollment did we get this September? It was more than 69 already.
Yes, it was 100, but I think for purpose of your question, can I speak? For purpose of your question, I think that was a great question for Fred in terms of, you know, the percentage that you're talking about, because I didn't create that particular percentage for the, for tonight's presentation or the contact that's coming specifically out of the study. So if you want, you can email him, which is in the that was in the presentation tonight, and ask him in terms of those particular percentages. In terms of rushing the plan, I'm reiterating again that we're, depending on what the scenarios are and what is created, if it is something that requires more time, then the recommendation will be, let's go phase it in over time, or I don't know, because we don't have the scenarios. That's why we need the information.
When is the date due to this all the public? Is there a hard date on that yet?
He's going back, that's why he left, that's it, but right, so he's going back to create, yeah, he's creating this, he's going to be creating the scenarios, that's the next phase, then we will open up, he'll open up in terms of what he discussed about the maps, you're gonna see the scenarios there. Based off of the feedback, then he is going to then say, okay, let's adjust this, or what do you guys think, whatever. He's going to adjust those things, and then if it's another scenario. But depending on the scenarios that he creates and how we create the other things we've discussed, like the transportation or grade level configuration, that is all going to be with the community feedback as well.
Just at the board level, we're confident that less than 96 days from now, you'll be able to digest all of that information, the traffic patterns, the population growth, the inconsistencies in the reporting, and making a real decision about displacing children in 96 days.
That's the thing, we don't know what the scenarios are, so we.
I'm just using the dates that you guys have published around the decision.
But, okay, I'm gonna give a hypothetical, which I know I really shouldn't do, but what if the scenario that we come up with that we can do by September only involves, you know, a couple of streets going to a different school? That's not, it doesn't, we can't say right now whether that timeline is long enough or not, because we don't know what it entails. So if the board members feel that, you know, do you think we can do this, and maybe there's some back and forth about that, you know, we can say, let's slow down. I mean, we cannot make a decision on a timeline that we have given as a rough outline of how this is going to be approached without getting the feedback first. So we will find out from you, from Fred, for you, when the first scenarios will be released. The other thing that I want to say is, if we had not started this now, we would be stuck. I hope I'm saying this correctly, but the data is wrong in the bad direction. There's more kids coming than we're supposed to come, right?
That's why I asked.
Right. So we're already behind the eight ball. If we don't start something, we have to start looking at something.
But I'm not saying we shouldn't do something, I'm just worried about the timeline, frankly.
Well, I'll let this person.
Can I just make one thing clear, and for everybody who's listening? There were two reports, okay? There were two reports. There was one a very long time ago. We used the demographer that the town should have used. Right. Now, moving forward, Fred, that you met tonight, just did a new one.
Yes.
So that information, when you say data is incorrect,
That's just 4.2% of the.
okay, there are two documents that he worked off of. And if for some reason anybody on this board is uncomfortable, I know, I can speak for these guys, that they are not going to rush. But at the same time, when you say that we're rushing, what if we didn't do something and by next year we're really stuck, then we're considered rushing. So I just need people, and Sarah, I'm not sure if you were here, but we're live streaming it, it'll be on YouTube, it'll be on the website to sit and take the time and to look through it.
Okay.
Okay, well,
I was
just
here
want to
last
make,
meeting too, and that's why.
okay, we appreciate that, but I know for a fact that
Just so we're clear, the
It's a
data I'm
slow
quoting is
process.
from the newest data.
slow process.
So it's not from the 10-year-old data, it's from the newest data.
But I'm sorry, can we, I'm gonna have you wait, if you don't mind, unless anybody else wants to speak, because we're supposed to stick to 3 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't time it with it.
You were over 4 minutes.
You guys have a 10-minute delay with tech problems. It's fine. So frustrating.
Hi, Dana Gabriel, 30 Somerset Place in Madawan. First, I want to say thank you for considering, the district when you're making curriculum decisions. I appreciate hearing that tonight. My question is again about the pre-K because it's not making sense to me. So if you could just clarify for me one more time, it did not make sense during the prior meeting. So it's a two-part question. One, it looks like you investigated community placement partnerships years ago. So my first question is, are you looking to now do that again? Because it seems like pre-K is off the table for considering any movement. That's just a statement piece. And correct me if I'm wrong. But then the second part of my question is, the part that I don't understand is that there's all these classrooms in each school, 7 in Clifton, 5 in Ravine, 2 at Strathmore. If those classrooms were moved to community placements, or if you reduced the amount of pre-K that we were taking to a lottery, and they just stayed in Cambridge, but now again, there's 7 classrooms open in Clifton, 5 at Ravine, 2 at Strathmore. Wouldn't there be no need to redistrict? Wouldn't there not be overcrowding? And I'm not sure if I'm missing something. Or is it just because pre-K is just a statement piece that's unmovable? Is that why?
So with preschool, when we do our plan for the upcoming school year, that is an additional question in terms of providers. So we do communicate, we're looking for providers. That is something that happens every single year. Again, going back to square footage and meeting the requirements that are set forth by the Department of Education. Sometimes it's not square footage that they're not meeting, sometimes it's ADA. So everything has to be met. So that's something that's just fluid, that's considered every single year. And at this time, so, like for example, I'll give you an example. There might be a preschool outside of Madawan and Aberdeen that has space. They're not part of Madawan and Aberdeen. They wouldn't be one of our providers and say keyboard or something like that. So we don't consider those. And that's if that is a question that's always asked, and they give us a list here, the list of providers, Mrs. President, would you consider all of these? And there's like maybe 4. You go to visit 4, right? So, yeah. So, and which there's a lot of, there is a lot of advocacy regarding preschool in terms of minimizing, or I don't want to say minimizing, but changing square footage, changing certifications, et cetera. We don't want to change, like, if they're going to be part of the regional school district, I want to ensure, and they will be accountable in terms of ensuring anyone that we're partnering in, because our students are going there, they have to be certified. They have to have meet these requirements. In terms of the kids are here. They are here. So we have been committed to early learning and ensuring that they have good foundational skills when they enter kindergarten. It's twofold. So the purpose of preschool expansion was to reduce some interventions, classifications, overclassifications, disproportionality with that. There's a whole reason why they have moved forward in terms of preschool expansion and funding those programs. We run a risk if we go back to lottery, and in this case, if you can discuss the eligibility, we would run a risk with not getting anything for preschool expansion.
Have we considered, you said it here already,
this
the three
case,
will become fours, so we considered just making it a fours program and eliminating the threes. Then would that disrupt funding?
You're at 4 minutes. Sorry, and I'll let Ms. Casey.
Is it 4 minutes of our talking, or it's just the top?
total of 4 minutes.
Okay.
Part of the preschool expansion requires that we have 3 and 4-year-olds present in the program, as well as that there is a pilot program on the table currently that anybody who receives pre-K expansion now would have to do a 60-40 split. Currently, we're 100% funded by the state for this program. However, other districts that want to be eligible now need to provide a 60% local funding, and then 40% would be state funding. This is a 3-year pilot. They are in the first year. We don't know what will happen, 2 years from now. However, that is something that's on the table. So currently, we would like to keep 100% grandfather funding as we go on.
So then just to answer, summarize, it's not on the table to change because we don't want to lose funding, so therefore, all these extra classrooms cannot stay for our school age kids because we need to keep the money. So then we're choosing money and the district.
That's not what we're saying, because we are choosing to offer free preschool and we are participating in that program. That's what we're choosing to do, and we're committed to do that. In terms of the space or anything, we don't have the scenarios, we don't have the information, so we can't say. We're not comparing school age to preschool.
Well, we just want to class.
You're not letting me finish. You're not letting me finish. You answered the question. I think we should respect that we have a response for you. We're committed to preschool. We're committed to that. We're committed to early learning. It is our responsibility, if we have capacity in other programs or other buildings, I should say, where there is space and we can offer preschool to, say, 500 kids and still manage and still offer school-age instructional programs across the district and all of our buildings, then that's what we're exploring to ensure that we're not picking and choosing which kids we're going to offer programs for.
I also want to clarify something for myself. The state requires us, they do a formula, and they require us to take a certain amount of preschool kids. And we are required to take, I think, 90% of that total number that they come up with. We are not taking all of them, correct? Yeah. Can you just expand on that, please, Ms. Chris?
For next year's calculation, based on the calculation and the DOE puts that out, it's your first grade class, I think I shared this, it's your first grade class times 2, that calculation for our district is close to 550 students that we have here preschool between 3 and 4-year-olds. We don't have the means to offer 550 kids. So in terms of our projection, we remain flat with the projection what we are offering currently now.
Mr. President, I have 2 points or clarity. So if for some reason, let's just say, we did not take in pre-K 3 or 4, let's just say that we went back to lottery or we didn't have it at all. These kids live and reside in Matawan, Aberdeen, which means that they will enter our schools at kindergarten, which is mandated. Is that correct? So if they enter the schools So if it's an enrollment issue, as far as the number of a head count, they are our children and they are here. We're just choosing to educate them earlier. Is that correct? Meaning that we're providing, right. Secondly, am I not correct in saying that the state is mandating eventually all districts, which is, like in this case it said, about pre-K. So we're going to, that's going to be something coming down the pipe, but it may not be in full K or full funding. I know that's what you were saying before, but I just wanted to the 60 40. Thank you.
The other thing is, we won't know that those kindergartners are coming because we won't have any knowledge of them until they enroll in kindergarten. So the situation that happened this year with having to scramble to open a new classroom and find a new staff member to teach in that classroom that happened in August is going to be compounded. That's the only correlation that I can come up with. That's practical.
And one thing that I think that okay, so the one thing that I think is missing right now is that I believe it might have been Mr. Lehman in the spring had done a beautiful job talking at a board meeting about the deficits that these students can have if they enter in K without the 3 and 4, and the amount of catching up that they sometimes need to do, and how much we're actually taking care of our children at a young age scholastically to make sure they're up to par as they move up. And there are so many things we can catch at a younger age and have to have less interventions down the line, which actually does have a monetary value as well. So I think we need to be a little more specific about that. I think that we as a board know this information and as an administration. So I'm wondering if someone could speak to that too, because I think that might help this conversation.
So, what Ms. Scott was speaking to, we had talked about this last spring. So when you look at students who are in our district at ages 3 and 4, and they are amongst their peers, and they are learning board-approved curriculum and state-approved curriculum when they transition to kindergarten, we're looking at how students have developed self-regulation, for example, their written expression, their ability to learn how to read. So all of those can be accelerated when they have access to preschool. So, I mean, we can spend a lot of time, and there's a lot of statistics, there's a lot of evidence behind how early schooling impacts a student, right? But that's the quick elevator pitch in terms of some of the things that come with students who enter our school at ages 3 and 4 versus just entering at 5 and 6.
Hi, my name's Amanda Latham, and I live at 181 Road Drive. And I just want to say that I have 2 children that have benefited from the pre-K program. I also want to say that however many X number of students that are currently in pre-K that are going to be there anyway when they come to kindergarten, that's not how math works. So you have kids graduating high school, middle school moving to high school, kindergarten moving up, and they're still going to be empty classrooms if the pre-K is not there. Yes, they're coming in, but other kids are also moving. That's all I can say. The numbers weren't adding up with that comment.
Well, I mean, kids are coming in at kindergarten and high schools are graduating. Those kindergartens aren't going to high school for classrooms.
No, but the cohorts move up. If the pre-K classes weren't there, then the classrooms would be open, and when they come in, the other kids would move up. So I'm not even advocating not to have preschool, I'm just saying that logic doesn't work. Thank you.
Not a question. I actually have the same thought. But on the other side of it, though, is that when we spoke, when Ms. Perez spoke about the
students that needed to be, went to enroll at Strathmore and weren't able to enroll at Strathmore, and they were, had to move. It's not like they had to move out of the district. They just had to go to a different school because we do have space. And so that's the thing is like, when I hear about, I love the idea for pre-Greek school. My kids just missed it, as the Mr. says. And it's a tremendous benefit. And as far as I know, nobody, I guess we'll see when we see the scenarios, but I don't think any of them involve building a new building. So it's like we have space, we're just moving people around. We have space. Thank you.
My child goes to Review Drives. I want to say I'm hearing everything that you're saying and really taking it in, and I want this to be constructive. I just want to read something first before phrasing my question. It says, in New Jersey, districts receiving PEA funding must demonstrate that their pre-K programs won't negatively impact K-12 programs. The state provides additional funding to support pre-K expansion, but schools need to balance competing demand. It says that the PEA funds can be used for upgrading or expanding facilities or creating more space for both pre-K and K-3. And I know with a little bit of research I've done, some schools have acquired, I guess, additional buildings or stuff like that that are open or vacant in the town. I guess I like to speak in concrete and not what ifs. So I'm going to give finite examples just of I don't disagree with anything of what any of you are saying about the values that the pre-K brings to those kids. I think what I'm observing in fact, not in hypothetical, is that as somebody who has a K to K-3 kid, it is having a negative impact on the K-3. I can prove it in the sense of for instance, in health, right? At Review Drive, there's no designated health classroom because obviously we could theorize there's classrooms that could be designated as health classrooms if not for a pre-K classroom being in there, or there's space that we could designate as a music room or as an art, right? There's spaces that we can give them. And what that allows is I've asked the health teacher, our kids at Review Drive complain about how boring health is because all they're doing is these little pamphlets. Health for me was using Petri dishes, right? And learning about putting the salt and pepper in and watching it separate. And so when we talk about access, I guess my concern is we're ignoring quality, right? So they have access to health, they have access to music, but the quality of that access is not great right now. I'm saying right now. So I guess I struggle to say I'm not hating on the pre-K program. I'm remiss about what it is subtracting away from K-3. So Miss Solano was an interventionist at Review. She was excellent for K-3 kids. Last year, she doesn't do intervention anymore, the breakout group. She was integral. I can tell you across the board, people who said that their K-3 student that was struggling, whose reading levels went supremely up, mine being one of them. So I guess when I look at those things, it's hard for me to say that this isn't having a negative impact on K-3. So I guess I'm not more so asking a question. I'm just saying whatever we're answering to this PEA funding to say that it's not having a negative impact, are we really holding ourselves accountable to what our answer actually is? And I just hope that you guys consider that. I hope that you really look at those things. I guess that's all I wanted to say. But I do thank you all. I don't disagree with any argument you've made for implementing a pre-K program. But I sorely think that it is, unfortunately, not being advantageous to our K-3. We're losing a lot in K-3. Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, we'll go for a second round for a few more minutes. Okay, let's go.
discussion on the personnel walk-in items. Mrs. Golden?
Yes.
Ms. Biles?
Yes.
Mr. McGovern? Mr. Monton?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Barato?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Moretti? Yes. Personnel walk-in.
As a volunteer on the boys varsity basketball team, like we can undercover, put a team together, and I can't wait to see where basketball goes. So welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gould. I again want to thank everybody who came, the administrators, directors, supervisors, teachers, and also Captain for doing a fantastic job of the presentation and answered a lot of my personal questions and clarified a lot of things for me, so I appreciate that. And looking forward to learning more as we go forward. Thank you. Have a good night.
Motion adjourned.
Motion and a second to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Well,